family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up, and share the way other notifications are generated and folks will know that we're here. For that, we say thank you so much, family. I want to remind you all of something. Whenever I'm going back in time and history, bringing up so many receipts about so many different policies, whether national politics or geopolitics, which is to say international, there's always something behind it. You understand? There's lessons that we need to learn. There are tactics, there are strategies, there are insights that we can glean from related to current affairs. You understand? Well, keep that in mind as it relates to something I want to share with you, something that Dr. Claude Anderson exposed in his book entitled Dirty Little Secrets about Black history, its heroes, and other troublemakers. Now, in the wake of the shakeup with DEI, which has to do with diversification and exclusion and so forth, policies not only that's in the federal government, state governments, and other policies and general customs in general on both state and local level, but also related to big corporations and so forth. That's the reason why they did this whole big boycott against Target, right? There were a lot of Black folks boycotted Target, and they were effective in changing some of the things that were as it relates to their bottom line. But I don't know that anything substantive changed, because a lot of the folks that's for the boycott with a Target say nothing about Black folks and reparations. To me, it's just a little trick for them to start talking about doing little individual stuff like that versus addressing the overall issues of reparations. Why? Reparations should be the number one issue for Black folks. Why? Because we know that spikes in crime, the highest crime rates, are directly related to poverty, economics. We know that folks that are dealing with medical disparities is directly linked to disparities in income. Yes, as it relates to gerrymandering, right? Redlining, all of that is interconnected in some way, form, or fashion to economics or the lack thereof. Educational disparities, large numbers are related to economic disparities. Things related to just, of course, finances, upward mobility, housing, home ownership. Most of the issues that they want us to break up and piecemeal and support individual policies and rules can be, for the most part, not all of it, but for the most part, largely addressed, watch this, in substantive ways. Not that it's a fix-all, but there's a substantive differences that can be made in almost every sphere of influence and every aspect that's troublesome for Black Americans if we deal with the issue of reparations. And so the fact that we're skirting past reparations as if it's something that can wait is the reason why America is still catching hell. Talk Black to me, somebody, in the way that she's catching hell. She gets extra hell, double hell, triple hell, gasoline, and a bunch of other stuff added to it because of your refusal to do so. Now, in Dr. Claude's book, Dirty Little Secrets, about Black history, its heroes, and other troublemakers, of course, I've quoted from this book before, as well as several of his other books. Yes, I want to highlight something. And again, I'm connecting some dots with the current DEI stuff that's going on and what might be taking place now, especially with the newly elected New York City mayor, especially as it related to the drama in Chicago and that Black looking mayor there who is a drama queen and some more stuff. Yes, watch this. On page 195, he talks about many facts. One of the many facts that he headlines, are y'all listening? He says that in 1996, the federal affirmative action set aside policy. Somebody say DEI related. Y'all see that? Listen. 1996, the federal affirmative action set aside policy at the U.S. Small Business Administration. How many of y'all know this? That they deal strongly with economics because they're dealing with small businesses. Yes. Watch this. In 1996, the federal affirmative action set aside policy at the U.S. Small Business Administration was modified to exclude Blacks and replace them with preferences for women and Indians. Now, the internet tries to bury it, and AI tries to get in there and, to me, in my opinion, throw everybody for some loops. Talk Black to me, somebody. But we're not going to be, we're not jumping, we're not doing hula hoops, jumping loops, or Fruit Loops. Talk Black to me, somebody. We coming up out the loops. We coming out the loops. I'm going to make sure we stay out of these different kinds of loops, and I'm going to keep us in truth. So I went to look to search for some information because the internet is not really coming with the information that we truly need, right? So family, I want you all to listen to what I end up digging up and finding. I went all the way back to an article that was written March 8th, 1996, and its title, it says "Issues of Rights" is what is the article. The publisher of it, I should say. The actual title says "Moratorium Called on U.S. Minority Program." This was written by Steve A. Holmes. Watch what he says. From Washington, a long review of affirmative action, the Clinton administration has decided to impose a 3-year moratorium on any new federal programs that reserve some contracts exclusively for companies owned by minorities and women, officials said on Thursday. The officials added that the 3-year moratorium on set-aside programs, which had proved to be the most hotly debated type of affirmative action, would include such stringent conditions for reintroducing the programs that it was doubtful it would ever return. Quote, "As a practical matter, set-asides are gone," a senior administration official said, speaking only after being promised anonymity. At the same time, the administration has decided to allow federal agencies, y'all listen, if they can justify it, to use other kinds of preferences, like giving price breaks and extra points in evaluating contract bids by minority and woman-headed companies. Officials said it was not clear how great a practical effect the moratorium would have because the number of set-aside programs had been dwindling already. Now, Dr. Claude Anderson worked for the Clinton administration. He worked in other political surroundings. He's a businessman. He's an economics genius and some more stuff. So his rendering of what they did when he said that in 1996, the federal affirmative action set-aside policy at the U.S. Small Business Administration was modified to exclude Blacks and replace them with preferences for women and Indians. It's very likely, of course, we see the numbers now today, many, many years later, that the preferences, number one preference in terms of women, were white women. So this was really targeted at Black folks, period. Now, in the wake of DEI, I want you all to see how they get down and how they find other ways to exclude us and other creative ways to give their folks tangibles without having to necessarily pass legislation. They use agencies and bureaus. I'm saying and suggesting that we get together and begin to organize and begin to put pressure on these current groups under the Trump administration, as well as directly demand reparations for Foundation of Black Americans and other such means like this, and getting IRS tax breaks, because that's something that can be immediately done. The same way Trump used and flexed his muscles with some of the policies he made related to the U.S. Postal Service and other administrations, I should say as well. But they can flex their muscles in creative ways to bring tangibles to us. If Congress is going to sit there and play and delay, there's things that Trump can do right now by making a phone call and putting pressure on the IRS to give us 6-figure tax breaks. Similarly, we should be using agencies like the Small Business Association to give contracts and open up certain doors for Black folks specifically. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. In the meantime, I'm going to keep the spiritual pressure on with not only my monthly mastermind school, my low-cost school called the Vicky Dillard Mystery School, where my students are getting spiritual information, lectures every month, discounts on products and services and other gifts and yummy things. At the Vicky Dillard Mystery School, go to my website, VickyPlanet.com, to learn how you can do that. In addition to my monthly mastermind, I've added some new schools, high-end special academies. How many of you all know that in most major civilizations, I don't care whether you're talking about the Fertile Crescent, I don't care if you're talking about ancient Kemet, so-called Egypt, even in the current Americas, I don't care if you're talking about the Middle Eastern areas, I don't care if you're talking about Asia, I don't care if you're even talking about Europe, I don't care if you're talking about North America, South America, hell, Antarctica. Almost every place in the known world had some form of a mystery school, which was an exclusive school that was meant only for the elite. So in other words, you had to have a certain type of bloodline or pedigree. You had to be like a high-level governmental official or royalty. You had to be some type of priest or priestess, something like that. You had to be in one of those categories or something similar to even be accepted in these groups. Well, beloved, I have been given some divine information where I've got a 60-day course just for me and called Treasures of Darkness. I'm going to be giving you the spiritual secrets that I was given to give to you about how to increase your spiritual currency so that you can attract protection and provision for you and your household. Go to VickiPlanet.com. For my women, it's a 90-day course for women only related to how we use our feminine energy to manifest destiny, to change our world and the world. Beloved, it is so juicy, it's so yummy. Everybody knows that it's been connected to me in my exclusive schools. The signs and wonders follow my work. If you want something you never had, you got to do something you've never done. Go to VickiPlanet.com to learn more about all these things that I've just said. Of course, be sure to share the broadcast here from African Diaspora News Channel. I can't wait to see you again.